Okay, I think we are live. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Subhashri speaking to you all from London. So it's 10:30 a.m. in London. It's a bit wet morning, as we know in December. Bit cold, but it's all good. As you can see, my vibrant background with a Christmas, beautifully decorated Christmas tree. I'm actually sitting at the Ahimsa Vegan Cafe in Pinner. And I was here in the morning and I just thought this is a good idea to join this meeting from here. And while I'm enjoying my masala tea with oat milk, we'll start the call soon. So thank you for all of you who joined me on the Zoom and also on YouTube. So that's Antonia, a friend from Croatia, and she's also one of the MYC leaders. Happily being here with in Ahimsa. So yeah, we will join to be in the grace of reading a beautiful story of Guru Leela from Guru Leela 2. So today I'm reading. It just happened that I thought of reading. And okay, so I'm going to read a book. Just a minute. Okay, so the story is written by Vijay Ramanaidu. He is currently the chairman of Mohanji Foundation UK. He is a core member of Global Council and also of many teams within Mohanji Global family. He is also the owner or the person who started Ahimsa Vegan Cafe in 2016, where I'm sitting right now. So this story will take it more. But apart from just being the chairman of Mohanji Foundation UK currently or the Global Council member, Vijay, I call him Vijay Bhai as a brother with respect. Vijay Bhai is the man behind this existence of Mohanji Foundation in the UK. Okay? So let us go through that, how Mohanji Foundation UK started and the story of Vijay Bhai from this particular one that was published in Guru Leela version 2. Okay, so the title goes, My Journey to Mohanji and His Impact on My Life by Vijay Ramanaidu. Apparently, he wrote this article sitting here at the Ahimsa Cafe that year in 2018 on 22nd December. And I had no idea that I'll be reading his story sitting here in Ahimsa Cafe on the 1st of December, 6 years later. Okay, so the story goes with the first meeting of Vijay Bhai. My journey to Mohanji began in September 2010 when my wife Ranjana and I met up in London with a couple who were old friends of ours from our time in Muscat, Oman. They told us about a spiritual master called Mohanji, who was the managing director of 3 companies, married to a Serbian lady, and lived in a villa in Muscat. They had written some blogs of their spiritual experiences with Mohanji, and they encouraged us to read them as well as Mohanji's blogs. They also gave us a picture of Mohanji's eyes and asked us to connect to Mohanji through this icon. Although I was a little skeptical, I read some of the blogs and I wrote back to our friends saying how much I had enjoyed reading the blogs and thanked them for introducing us to Mohanji's writings. I then forgot about Mohanji for some time until I had a very significant dream. In this dream, I was in a hall which had a wall with long glass windows. On the other side of this window was a corridor. Through the window, I saw an Indian man with a beard and white kurta walk purposely down the corridor together with the fellow followers and entered into the hall. I followed him into an adjoining kitchen where he held me by shoulders, pressed down hard on one shoulder to bend me back on one side, pressed on the other shoulder to bend me backwards the other side. Then, with both hands around my chest area, he grabbed what seemed to be a subtle body, mine or someone else's, I don't know, and threw this out of my physical body. He then struck me hard on the third eye area with the flat bottom of his hand. I lost consciousness in the dream, and it seemed physically too. When I woke up, I remembered the dream very clearly. The person in the dream resembled Mohanji. My curiosity was aroused. I tried the power of purity meditation early one morning while sitting at my computer and continued to read his blogs. I bought the Power of Purity book from Amazon, which made me a very which made a very big impression on me. The clarity in the writing with clear explanations on various spiritual topics enlightened and resonated very strongly with me. It all seemed to make a great deal of sense. One day in October 2011, our doctor friend from Oman again contacted me to say that Mohanji was coming to London for a shipping conference. She said that if we wanted to, uh, we could perhaps organize a meditation session while he was there. I replied to say that I would be very happy to organize the meditation sessions. And if Mohanji wanted to, he could stay at our house instead of staying in a hotel. Mohanji very kindly agreed to this suggestion. I contacted Mohanji directly by email and we made arrangements for his visit. Mohanji arrived in London on the 4th of November 2011. It was a very significant moment for me as this first meeting was the start of a life-changing journey. During this trip, we held a Power of Purity meditation session in my house, followed by a public meditation and satsang program with about 65 attendees. Many of the attendees had some amazing spiritual experiences, and this was the start of an amazing journey for some of them too. We also made time to visit Stratford-upon-Avon, the birthplace of Shakespeare, and did some sightseeing around London. Mohanji's first trip to the UK was a wonderful and unique opportunity for me as I was able to be with Mohanji while he was still working in the worldly sense, and I was able to see him in multiple modes of existence, as the MD of a company, as a tourist, and as a spiritual master. Our discussions were very easygoing. It felt like I was speaking to an old friend. After 5 hectic days, it was time for Mohanji to leave for Shanghai. As I drove Mohanji to the airport, he said to me that if anyone wanted to conduct meditation sessions, to give them Power of Purity meditation CD. Furthermore, he said that helping people to reduce their karma through conducting these meditation sessions was one of the best service activities that we could do. Following Mohanji's visit, we started conducting the Power of Purity meditation sessions weekly, rotating the sessions between different people's homes. These meditation sessions were to kickstart Mohanji's activities in the UK. A seed of activity was planted, which subsequently grew into a young tree with many blossoms. I must take a pause here to say that what was that seed that planted with Mohanji's visit on the 4th of November 2011, and then continuing with this meditation sessions held by Vijay Bhai and few other people. As Vijay Bhai wrote this article in 2018 when he says that, these activities has grown into a young tree. 6 years later, I'm very, very proud and happy to say that that tree has gone into full blossom now, especially after having Mohanji's activities in the UK, in London, not just in London, but various parts of UK spread like a very stable, wide banyan tree. With the, main point with having our Mohanji Center of Benevolence in Scotland. It's now the second in 1.5 years already. So yeah, so that tree, that seed that planted has blossomed into such a beautiful, stable tree. Very happy to see that, and I'm sure all of you who are listening to me would connect to resonate to that. Okay, moving on. Shaktipat initiation. Soon after meeting Mohanji, I went to visit him in Serbia, where I met him at a satsang in Belgrade. After the satsang, he asked me if I would like to join him and Devi to stay at Devi's parents' house in Novi Sad for that night. I hesitated and told him that I had already checked into my hotel in Belgrade and all my belongings were there. He said, no problem. We'll go to the hotel and wait for you while you pack. So after packing, I traveled to Novi Sad with Mohanji, Devi, and Bilyana. The next day, Mohanji gave me a long Shaktipat and said that he may initiate me into giving Shaktipat. Shaktipat is now called as Mohanji Energy Transfer. At a satsang that evening, I was astonished and very hesitant as I did not feel worthy of such a responsibility and neither did I know how to give Shaktipat. That evening, during the meditation session, Mohanji called me over, pressed on various chakra points, and gave me Shaktipat again. After the meditation session ended, he informed me that I have now been initiated to deliver Shaktipat. Although I felt very blessed, I was extremely hesitant to deliver Shaktipat to others, even though Mohanji had given clear instructions and guidance. I still did not think that I was worthy to be given this. I returned to the UK and eventually started delivering Shaktipat to the participants at our meditation sessions. Many people had the most amazing experiences whilst receiving Shaktipat. One time, when I stopped giving Shaktipat temporarily, Vijay Bhai, well, while I'm reading this, Vijay Bhai just walks in. So please welcome. Join me. Come this side so people can see you.
Oh, sorry, you're in the meeting. I didn't realize.
No, I'm reading your story.
Oh, really?
I'm reading your story.
Oh,
So that's when you walk in. So please, please have a sit. Okay, we might. That's such an amazing, amazing. Coincidence. Did you plan it, Vijay? Okay. Yes, I'm having the masala chai. I showed you. Okay, I will read your story. I'll continue to read. You can join in and say more. Yeah, that will be interesting. That's amazing. Thank you, Vijay Bhai, for coming. So I was reading about the part where you're talking about Shaktipat, how you got initiated. Okay. Should you read? I will read. Okay. All right. To continue where I left, I returned to the UK and eventually started delivering Shaktipat to the participants at our meditation sessions. Many people had the most amazing experiences whilst receiving Shaktipat. One time when I stopped giving Shaktipat temporarily because of feeling of unworthiness, we had a meditation session after which one of the participants remarked that someone had given them a powerful Shaktipat, much more powerful than normal, even though no one had done so. This was obviously Mohanji in subtle form. During that period, some of the other participants complained about not receiving Shaktipat as they found it very beneficial. Those complaints convinced me that I should never allow my thoughts, unworthiness, to interfere with my new duty. To this day, I'm astounded at the impact of Shaktipat or energy transfer and the amazing experiences people have had, which can manifest as heat, light, vibration, messages, and visions. I'm in awe of Mohanji's power and humbled that he continues to use me as his instrument. That was amazing.
Yeah, well, just to say a little bit about that. So this was Sudha. Sudha, who obviously comes to the cafe now and again. And she was the one that said this to me. She said, Rajesh Bhai, they call me Rajesh Bhai rather than PJ. Did you give Shaktipat today? I said, no. They said, somebody came and gave Shaktipat, and it was much more powerful than normal. And I said, I was just sitting in my chair. And then she said, why have you stopped? Because we are getting so much benefit from it. And despite my own feeling of, look, I'm not pure enough, I am not worthy enough to deliver this, I thought, you know what, I just have to put this away from my mind and just do what Mohanji wants. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Vijay Bhai. I remember when I also joined the meditations first and received this for the first time, experiencing it was something different. And just to say that, Mohanji has actually initiated only about 6 people to give Shaktipat. And Shaktipat, what we now call as Mohanji Energy Transfer. Of course, a lot more people give Mohanji Energy Transfer now. But Shaktipat is a different level. Only Mohanji gives, and then a few of you who are very blessed. So yeah, continuing on the story of now the most, very important for all of us, especially in the UK. Like as I said earlier, how Mohanji's activity, Mohanji Foundation, ACT Foundation came into life in the UK. Okay, so this is about now registration of Mohanji ACT Foundation and Mohanji Foundation UK. During his first trip to the UK, Mohanji mentioned to me that he and Devi had set up Care for service activities in India and ACT Foundation for service activities in the rest of the world as a platform to serve the needy. He mentioned that they had set up ACT Foundation in Dubai, but the registration costs were so expensive that they couldn't continue. And he was looking to see if it was possible to set it up in another country. I said nothing at that time, as I had no idea how to set up a charity and did not feel like taking on such a big responsibility. However, the seed for Mohanji ACT Foundation was sown there and then. I started my inquiries with His Grace. About a year and a half later, in 2013, the UK registered charity constituted by a trust deed was set up with Mohanji, Devi, myself, Rajshri Gohil, and Ranjan Penchandra as the first trustees of ACT Foundation UK. Setting up ACT Foundation has elevated my service, my seva, to a much greater scale. Being a small charity, we managed to leverage our work by reaching out and working with other charities and organizations. We first started by working with Mother Teresa Homes in London to buy, cook, and serve food to the homeless. We also initiated a food aid service activity with Skandavel Ashram in South Wales, who have an excess of food donated to them by pilgrims, over 60 tons per year. They agreed for ACT Foundation UK to be one of their food aid partners. Every couple of months or so, we hire a van and make the 5-hour trip, which is a 10-hour round trip, to the ashram to collect about 1,500 kilos of food at a time, mainly rice, pulses, lentils, oils, vegetables, etc. About half of this food is donated to Mother Teresa Homes to feed the homeless and poor families, and the other half is given to other charities that support refugees and poorest people around the world. Over the past year, we have collected tons and tons of food every year. Okay, the food we have collected in these initial years has gone to refugee camps and poor communities in Croatia, Kosovo, Montenegro, Moldova, Serbia, Ghana, amongst others. We have also collected and distributed some of the hundreds of saris and dhotis donated by Skandavel by the pilgrims every year. Skandavel doesn't currently have the facility to send and distribute this clothing abroad. So we stepped in and have shipped them to refugee camps and poor communities in Sri Lanka and India, where we work with the local organizations, such as Satyasai Organization of Sri Lanka, in Amukare in India, to distribute clothes to the neediest villages and refugees. We have supported many overseas projects financially and given aid to areas struck by natural disasters. For example, Serbia during huge flood in Eastern Europe, in Philippines after a devastating typhoon, Jammu in North India, the coastal areas of South India during floods, Haiti, South Africa, and many countries in the Eastern Europe. We have also helped to support animal shelters and build wells for clean water in Sri Lanka.
There's just one little error there in that write-up, because actually Yak Foundation was registered in 2012. And actually was September. We signed the document in April 2012, but actually we got it registered September 2012. So just
I did not get that. I was wondering when I
remember when Mohanji was telling you about should we set up this charity is there a place we can set this up elsewhere? I was doing the curtains. I remember I was just fixing the curtains in my house in preparation for that first meditation. And I just looked at him and I just kept quiet. I thought, I've not done anything like this before. How could that be possible? Possible for me to do something like that. This is
Yeah. The highlight of my work with ACT Foundation was in October 2015, when J. Jayasilan, the current Mohanji ACT Foundation president, and I, along with the Branko and Milos from ACT Foundation in Serbia, supported an aid trip organized by Hope and Aid Direct, the UK registered charity that has been helping refugees in various parts of the world, to Kosovo, with a cargo of 40 tons of food and clothing transported by four lorries. Mohanji ACT Foundation contributed many tons of food and toiletries for this aid project. This was primarily a trip to see where the aid we were giving was being distributed. Many of the people we visited were living in dilapidated, crowded accommodation and had to suffer the extremely cold temperatures in winter, which could reach as low as minus 20 degrees centigrade. We experienced the immense joy of giving the boxes of food, clothing, educational materials, and toiletries to the poor families. Watching the smiles on their faces was such a humbling experience. After setting up Mohanji ACT Foundation, before I move on to, let me just complete. After setting up Mohanji ACT Foundation, Mohanji asked me whether we could set up Mohanji Foundation in the UK. This charity was to take forward the spiritual aspects of Mohanji's work, such as meditations, retreats, kriya, healing, pilgrimages, etc. And Annadan in ashrams, while Mohanji ACT Foundation would focus on social service. After spending a lot of time to get the objectives right, the charity finally registered as a UK charity in February 2018, with Mohanji, myself, Subhashri, Hemant Panda, and Ranjan as the first trustees. Since then, with the hard work of the trustees and help of a number of dedicated core team members, the work of the charity has increased substantially. I'd just like to add here, when I was reading about all the tasks, all the activities that ACT Foundation did, of course, this is written in 2018. But now, as we speak, the ACT Foundation volunteers are sitting and wrapping the Christmas shoe boxes for distribution at Jay's house. Jay is our current ACT Foundation president. Okay, so continuing, another very, very, very important and interesting part. I'm sure you all would love to hear this part. This is Vijay's Kailash pilgrimages. Mohanji has blessed me twice by allowing me to go on Kailash pilgrimages with him in 2014 and 2016. The first pilgrimage was the Outer Kora trip in July 2014. This was a momentous trip full of divine grace, which helps us to overcome the many immense obstacles we faced. On the morning of the day we were going to cross into Tibet from Nepal, there was a massive landslide ahead of us on the route we were about to take with huge loss of life. Grace protected us, and amazingly, we were able to continue our journey using helicopters. I had the unique opportunity to travel in the first helicopter with Mohanji and David, landing on the border of Kodari before crossing into Tibet. While up in the air on the helicopter with Mohanji, I was in bliss and thought to myself that if I were to die right now, I would die happy. Well, you had so many more things to do, Vijay Bhai. Okay. I suffered very badly with altitude sickness on this trip and wasn't sure I could make it. However, before starting the parikrama, I bowed down to Mohanji and took his blessings. He said to me, "You will do well." Surprised, I decided to start by walking together with him. Incredibly, with his blessing, I managed to walk the whole parikrama over the 3 days without using a pony. This was surely only possible with his grace. After completing the parikrama and leaving Kailash by coach, I looked up at the sky through the coach window, and to my astonishment, there was an incredible clear figure of Shiva in cloud formation. Mohanji had given me the perfect end to the pilgrimage by giving me the darshan of Lord Shiva. The second Kailash trip in 2016 was the inner Kora trip, which was one of the most challenging things I had ever done in my life. There were 18 of us. The inner Kora group had to walk as ponies cannot be used for the more difficult inner Kora trek. Again, same as the last trip, I suffered severely from altitude sickness and even fall unconscious on the morning of the parikrama. The second day of parikrama was one of the most memorable day of my life. In the morning, we trekked to Charan Sparsh, a very auspicious spot where we would touch what is considered to be the feet of Mount Kailash. Although Kailash is many kilometers away from that point. Mohanji then turned to me and said that those who were feeling tired could rest here, but whoever wanted to could climb up onto the glacier and trek further along to get a better view of the north face of Kailash. The Sherpas made a makeshift rope up which Mohanji climbed. Of course, the rest of us followed suit and climbed up too. He led the way, and we trekked further along to see, to see the magnificent views of Kailash in the distance, the ice and snow melting in places to form rivulets which trickle down to form larger streams. After trekking for a while, Mohanji asked us to say a prayer for merging with the consciousness of Shiva and turned around 360 degrees on the spot. After doing this, we all sat down and Mohanji chanted the holy Shiva Kavacham, the prayer for protection to ensure our safety for the dangerous trip ahead. You want to add something here?
As you're saying that, I can feel my third eye just sort of going how, you know, it was a trip that was just unbelievable. And I remember Chai was really struggling. And during that walking, I just had to help her. And I deliberately stayed back with her. We were the last ones because she was so exhausted. And we were just trekking. And then eventually we got to this place where it's called, the foot of Kailash. And there we thought Charan Splash, and I thought, thank God it's finished. Thank God it's time to go back now. I was just so exhausted. And then, and then Mohanji, in his own way, he knew I was exhausted. He just looked at me directly at me and said, I'm going to go a little bit further. Those who are tired, they can just stay and go back. And then I thought, oh my God. and then the shirt that they made, it was sari material. They made this chain and they were up at the top and they put this thing and for Monji, and I saw Monji climbing up this thing, and I thought if Monji's doing it, then I can't just sit there like an idiot, and go back. So that's why I got back. It was so when Monji stopped and that expression in his eyes, the way he looked and the way we just sat there, chanting the, Shiva Kavach. It was just amazingly powerful. He's sitting there looking at Kailash, and we were also there looking at Kailash next to him, and just chanting Shiva Kavach, facing Kailash. What a feeling it was, even though we were just uncomfortable, so very, very, very tired. And then So where we are here, yeah. So we're tracking.
Yeah, just saying that while you're reading and while you're saying, we feel still the vibrations as you from your words. My goodness. Okay.
Then yeah, and then this is right. You got to the bit when Chai fell.
No, I haven't. I'll read from here. So we have gone to the time as you Mohanji chanted Shiva Kavacham. Okay, to continue with that reading, and he will add a little bit more. Mohanji sat on a rock and sent some of us forward to trek all the way to touch Kailash. He sat and watched us like a divine guard, ensuring that we were protected while we endeavored to go on this extremely dangerous trek. We trekked on for many more hours, stopping frequently to catch our breath back. Eventually, the terrain changed from rock covered glacier to ice, then to snow. As we got closer to Kailash, we realized that it was not so easy to touch it, as there was a deep gorge with long icicles just next to Kailash, preventing us from reaching it. But at one place, there was a natural bridge of ice and snow that gave us the opportunity to cross the gap and reach a small ledge on Kailash where we would be able to stand. I slowly made my way up to this snowy bridge. I removed my hat and very carefully walked across the bridge and stepped onto the ledge of Mount Kailash. I removed my gloves and put my hands forehead onto the face of Kailash. As I touched Kailash, it felt like touching an energy field which was cool and vibrant. It was welcoming and loving energy. My hand, my head, my hands, and my body drank in that wonderful vibration and energy for a few minutes. I thought of Mohanji, whose grace and blessings had enabled me to reach this point. I also thought of Satya Sai Baba and Lord Shiva, whose bountiful grace had allowed me to reach to this point. I thought of my family, my ancestors, and my whole lineage on behalf of whom I was doing this pilgrimage. Friends, relations, and the rest of the group came to my memory, and everyone else that I could think of, so that as many people as possible could get to the benefit of me touching Kailash. I was elated. I had touched Kailash. At this point, I felt that I needed nothing more. I had reached the ultimate. If the trip finished now, I'd be happy. This is something here.
That place was so dangerous. It was incredible. I think, did you miss the bit about when Chai fell into this?
Yeah, I think later.
No, that was earlier. That was before I got to touch Kailash. So what happened as we were approaching Kailash, there was this areas where you've got deep gaps and the snow is covering it, so you can't tell. Actually, so as we were traveling, and the other team were coming back, they said, look, be careful, there's these deep waters there. And as we were going, then suddenly I saw one and I kind of jumped over it. But Chai, she fell and her leg went right in. And she nearly went, and these things can be like 30, 40 feet deep. And once you're down there, you're dead. Nobody can save you. Because even to get help is a problem. But anyway, that was about that bit leading up. But when I approached Kailash, we got on this snow ledge, as I said, there's all these icy falls. There's a big gap, and when you look down, you feel scared because if you slip and fall in that snow, that's it. You finish, you had it. But when I got to Kailash, when I stepped on that ledge and I looked at Kailash, when you look at Kailash, you see like a black stone, and it wasn't black at all. It was like pink, gray, and all different types of color. And it was almost like as if somebody has made it. You've got not bricks, but like a mosaic almost. Like this stone and then this stone and this stone. You put cement and it's kind of built like that. It seemed odd. But that's a thought that came to me. Why are these different pieces of Kailash looking so different where I was? And that struck me because I thought when you go, it was solid black rock. So it wasn't like that. And then as I said, I touched my head on it. And then, just thought of so many people, that to benefit from it. Because it's for your lineage. Mohanji said, when you're doing something like that, your whole lineage, I try to get benefited. I try to think of all of that, Mohanji people, Sai people, etc., to benefit as much as possible. And then the next thing you're coming to, right to that point, what we found is that the weather was reasonable. But then as soon as we touched Kailash and coming back, these huge clouds came and the sky turned dark, then the rain and hail, even rain.
That's the next part then. So as we turned back and walked back down, the weather started changing. The blue skies disappeared like a fog of cloud, quickly descended on us. Small hailstones were showered upon us, and the atmosphere became dark, cold, and clammy. We could hardly see the ground ahead. With Mohanji's grace, Lord Shiva had bestowed the most amazing grace on us. Right up to the point where we were able to touch Kailash, the weather was absolutely beautiful with clear skies, so we could reach safely and see Kailash in full glory. If the bad weather had come upon us earlier, we may well have to had returned back without touching Kailash. The hail turned to rain and we got soaked through. The ground became more slippery and we had to watch our steps more carefully. We carried on down as night descended. Slowly, we made our way back to the camp, headed straight to Mohanji's room, where we offered our love and gratitude.
This is where I need to say something because we missed something here. Because what happened when we came back to and Mohanji was in his room, and Devi was crying because she felt something had happened to us. Since we were so late. And then Mohanji was lying down. And, there was one point where Chai was crossing one place. She fell, she gashed her knee and she cut her hand. But when she looked, she found that actually it wasn't so bad. And then when we went up to Mohanji, we took his blessings and we said, and he was lying down. He said he wasn't feeling too well either. And I think he was probably helping us in some way. But then he said, we asked him how he was, and he said, "Oh no, I've got a pain in my knee and my hand."
Chai knew that story.
He just broke down, started crying because she pulled it so badly and she hurt her knee and her hand. But she realized that they had actually been taken by energy. And he was saying, I have feeling pain in my knee and in my hand. That was amazing.
I'm sure the Inner Kora book has all more details. This is an article from Guru Leela, which is the shorter version. So people who haven't read the book Inner Kora, please go through that. That will have much more details of all the people who did Inner Kora, the 18 of them. Okay, the next part. The third day of the Inner Kora trip was just as tough, made more difficult due to the fatigue and even higher altitude. It was on this day that I received the great teaching from Mohanji. It was at a point where we had to climb up a steep glacier using ropes. However, only one person could go up at a time. It was extremely dangerous and scary. Rocks were falling on us from above as the others climbed up, and we did not have hard hats on.
We didn't have hard hats because the Sherpas were with us. And because they had to set everything up for us to be able to come on the road, they had their hats with us. We were stupid. We didn't think, oh, why do you need hard hats? We had our woolen hats because it was warmer. And they climbed up, they took all the hard hats. But what I didn't realize was because only one person at a time could climb up, and it takes a while to climb up using the ropes, that as they are going, the rocks from above are falling down on you. And rocks were coming, you're looking out, you're dodging these rocks which are coming, and some of them are pretty big. And if one of them hit you on the head, finished, it's from big height. So it was really silly not to put the hard hats on. But, as we're sitting on the slope, and the mountain is like covered in ice. And what it is small pieces of rock which are covering that ice. So as you spend more time, the rocks start going away, and all you see is ice underneath. So you're almost like slipping, and you're such a massive height, and the slope is so steep that you feel, how can you sit? You feel like you're going to fall and slip. And I was, as I was sitting there waiting, because we said, let the I'm thinking that let the others go first, you'll go a bit later on. It's allowed them to get first. But we were getting colder and colder and more tired and feeling as we're sitting that we're going to slip, we're going to fall. And as I said, that if you fall, you go rolling and rolling and rolling down to the mountain to your death, basically. And I was so scared. I was really, really, really scared. Thinking, I feel like I'm actually going to slip here. I'm going to fall. And actually, Mohanji, for some reason, was behind me. Normally, you think, okay, Mohanji should be in front. But for some reason, he was behind. And there was one chap, I won't say his name, and there was one person there who was, I thought I was scared. He was 10 times scared, more scared than me, and he was actually screaming in fear. And Mohanji was trying to help him, would you believe? That there I am sitting there like a lemon. And Mohanji tried to help this guy because I'm scared of falling myself. And Mohanji was really trying to help this guy. And for me, he was almost panicking. And you know, when you go into a panic, you could actually take everybody down with you. And he was like almost screaming and screaming. And Mohanji shouted loudly at him, if you have fear, you have no faith. And I'll repeat that word again. If you have fear, you have no faith. And then I thought that that was actually not meant just for him. It was meant for me too, because I was so fearful. And then I just relaxed. I thought, you know what? If I slip and fall and die, then what does it matter? You've got to go sometime. And I just kind of relaxed. And I thought, if this is what the divine had in store for me, dying my callous, so be it, forget about it. And that teaching, if you have fear, you have no faith, sort of stood me for the next, times of my life where you really have to sort of let away of your fear and your uncertainty and how you feel about something and trust in your faith instead. It like yeah.
Coming up to that. Oh wow. Okay, so the next part I don't need to read because he almost said that. But the last sentence, I think very important, just to repeat how Mohanji said, if you have fear, you have no faith. And those words really were like Mahakavya, the divine utterance, you know. So his divine utterance on that day helped me and the rest of the group to complete the inner Kora trip successfully and was to stand me in good state for further challenges in my life ahead. I think inner Kora is, after 2016, there is no inner Kora happened. We don't know whether it will happen when, and Mohanji keeps saying, recently also said, don't assume that it will happen again. It may or may not. So it was such a, I think those 18 of you who completed that, I think it's rarest of rare to happen.
And also what happened, because the next day we heard, I think it was five people had died on that one day doing the Nakora trip. And also there was a number of people who had died during that, that period. Over 25 people have died. And obviously what happens is that because of the cold, because of the strain and everything like that, because of low altitude, people get heart attacks. And especially in Nepal, because it's like 10 times more tougher than doing the outer corner. Because you have the roads, you have everything much more challenging. So many people have died. That's why they closed it. They said, you're not allowed to do it already.
What a blessing. I think with touching Vijayabhai is almost like touching Kailash.
Yeah. When I was touching Kailash, I saw a rock that was sitting on that. And I thought, you know what, I'd quite like to have that rock. and myself and Chai, we each took, and I took that rock. I just took the one, and I took it with me and brought it back to London. And then I was thinking afterwards, I felt so sad. I was thinking of that rock and feeling, why did I take that rock? It was touching Kailash, and I'm taking it away from Kailash. And I actually feel bad for that rock. But what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna take that vault away from my house and I'm gonna put it in the MCB and put it near where Shiver is, so that there we can keep it, but we need to make sure that it's like protected and keep it there where the Shivalingam is. So I'm gonna do that because I just don't feel right that that rock was taken away from Kailash. So we'll keep it at the MCB, that it's in a place where it's continually being worshipped, hearing the mantras and things like that, being in that environment.
I think that was the greatest announcement happened on this session. I'm so honored Vijay bhai is saying that, and it is not ordinary. It's the actually Mount Kailash, the stone from Mount Kailash coming to MCB Scotland. It is going to be Kailash. Thank you, Vijay bhai, for that. I mean, amazing. What a grace. Wow. Yeah. So, we are now coming to almost to the final part, but this going through and listening through Vijay bhai himself is well, what can I say? What a great feeling here. So now the last part is very important, and where and it's also bring this significance as why where we are sitting today. And this happened. Let me tell you, I did not plan to do this session from here. This is about Ahimsa Vegan Cafe. That's the next part of this story. Ahimsa Vegan Cafe. The next major event was almost as challenging as the inner Kora trip and touching Kailash. This was setting up Ahimsa, the vegan cafe in London. Mohanji first raised this idea with me while I was on the first pilgrimage to Kailash in July 2014. We had traveled by helicopter after a landslide and had stopped at Kodari in Nepal, which was on the border of Tibet. While we were waiting to have dinner that evening, Mohanji spoke to the UK group about promoting vegan food and veganism as an expression of ahimsa, non-violence. He was promoting veganism out of compassion for all the voiceless animals that are helpless and are suffering unspeakable cruelty, abuse, torture, and slaughter at the hands of humans. However, vegan food options were limited. He described to us an incident while in the USA when he and Sumit had to travel for a long time to find a place that served vegan food. When they find one, it was extremely expensive. He thought to himself that there was no point in preaching to people about veganism when there were very few options for people to eat vegan food. It was at this time that he came up with the idea inspiring the creation of affordable, healthy, fast food vegan outlets across the world. The impact of this would be tremendous, saving the lives of millions of animals, improving our health, and making positive changes in the environment. Mohanji went on to say that Sumit, who was the main organizer of the Kailash trip and a restaurateur, had done a lot of research into this and was taking this forward. A name of the restaurant had already been decided, Ahimsa Vegan. I was fascinated to hear this. I had first turned to vegan diet in 2002 when I came to realize that although I followed a vegetarian diet, there was immense cruelty and pain inflicted on cows and their offsprings in the dairy industry. I bought into the idea of Ahimsa Vegan immediately, and a desire grew within me to play a small part in taking this forward. When I got back to the UK, I started thinking about the task at hand. I have a scientific background and have never set up a company before, never run a business, nor did I have an interest or experience in cooking or catering. I started my research on this project by visiting various vegetarian and vegan restaurants in the UK. At Mohanji's suggestion, I approached a friend of mine called Dishal, who was a chef at the Hilton and had cooked at one of our retreats for menu ideas. We got a team together, including Rajshri, my sister-in-law, Meeta, and Hemant, who were all happy to invest their time, energy, and funds to take this project forward. This team worked extremely hard and sacrificed a lot of time and energy to bring this to fruition. Each one of us had different strengths, and together we made a strong team. Grace flowed like a waterfall. A wonderful example of this was when we were getting frustrated trying to find a suitable location. One day we all got together in a car and visited a lot of different areas to see which one would be most suitable and decided on Pinner, Northwest London, but could not see any for sale signs for the suitable premises. When I went to work a couple of days later on Monday, I was searching the internet on my phone for suitable premises and found a place in Eastport, which was about a mile away from Pinner. When I phoned the agent to inquire about the Eastport property, he said that he doesn't have one in Eastport, but he has one for lease that has just come on the market in Pinner. The road sign immediately outside of this property was Love Lane. We put together a business plan and started negotiations with the vendor. Eventually, after nearly 8 months, we signed the lease and started the building work in October 2016. On Mohanji's advice, we removed the whole shop front to change the position of the door and improve energy flow, stripped out the shop, and completely revamped the place with modern decor, furnishings, and new equipment. On 16th December 2016, Mohanji came to inaugurate Ahimsa, the vegan cafe in Pinna. He came despite a hectic schedule for just 3 days all the way from India. We were blessed and we had a highly emotional opening with supporters and friends. After so much of hard work, Mohanji's dream was coming true. We were indebted to Sumit and sister Anuradha, who came from India to give advice and support the launch. Their input was invaluable as they had set up the first restaurant in Shirdi. We noticed that whenever we had any difficulties and challenges, grace would open up and a solution found. Mohanji has been constantly guiding us and giving our wonderful team energy, grace, and blessings. His speech on the opening day was truly inspiring. The cafe is a statement to the world that vegan food can be healthy, tasty, ethical, and cruelty-free. Since opening the cafe, there have been, of course, many challenges, but one by one, with His grace, we have overcome them. We have now celebrated the second anniversary of our opening on the 20th December 2018. I cannot deny that this has been a tough challenge. The teaching given by Mohanji that day on the inner Kora trip in August 2016, while I was sitting on the icy glacier, waiting to climb up the mountain, has sustained us. If you have fear, you have no faith. Thank you, Mohanji. As I sit down in Ahimsa, the vegan cafe today on the 22nd December 2018, which happens to be Datta Jayanti, finishing up this article on my laptop with Mohanji's picture up in the wall of the cafe in front of me, I cannot help but reflect on that day over 7 years ago on the 4th of November 2011. On that fateful day, I was waiting anxiously at Heathrow Airport Terminal 3 with my 10-year-old son Vivek and a bunch of bright orange roses in my hand to meet Mohanji for the first time. Little did I know that he was to change my life and what experiences lay ahead of me. This was the start of an amazing new journey in my life. And what a journey it has been so far. I offer my love and gratitude to Mohanji, Satya Sai Baba, and all the masters of the tradition for helping me and my family to sanctify our lives by serving in so many different ways. I bow down to all with immense love and gratitude in my heart. Thank you. And this is Vijay Ramanayudu in London, 22nd December 2018. So
6 years ago. And the journey continues and the grace continues. There's more chapters to be added to this.
Yes.
I think Sebastian will continue this.
It will definitely come in this coming Guru Leela, 2025, Mohanji's 16th birthday. But like I just said, it was a divine plan of Mohanji, not a coincidence that I'm here sitting and Vijay Bhai just walked in and we're reading about this. And 4th of November 2011, your life started when Mohanji first came. And to continue Ahimsa's journey, again, 4th of November in 2024. A new journey of Ahimsa started when now it's Mohanji Foundation.
Yes.
Is running it, and is now the owner. And not just Vijay Bhai, Rashri, Hemant Bhai, Mita, they are there, but along with them, all of us have come together. And still Mohanji is sitting on that wall looking at us. I'll just turn my camera for a minute. I hope you can see that. So he's watching us from there, and what a grace to be here. Definitely more coming on Ahimsa soon. But I leave you all here with this feeling of such a grace and energy as Vijay Bhai was speaking about Kailash, and the emotion just out of sheer gratitude from Mohanji for Ahimsa. The other day I wrote to Mohanji that, Mohanji, you are just so amazing. I have no words and I'm just tears flowing. He messaged me, why? And a question mark. I said, I have no words. Because sometimes you just feel so overwhelming with the grace when you watch it every moment. And Guru Leela is all about that. Everybody's emotions, feelings that comes truthfully, comes sincerely, which is something that we experience ourselves. So yeah, it's a journey of transformation, true transformation. And thank you for listening, all of you who are here on Zoom and all of you who are on YouTube. So I'm so grateful for this morning to have come up like this. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. With this, I will close the session today, unless anybody of you have any questions.